Yeah, taking Vlad off the table is absolutely necessary, honestly, on this patch. The champion is just too strong. Fnatic banning Bard is no surprise either. Mithy can play the champion, YellOwStaR cannot.
Yeah, Nidalee is
You
banned
have
away.
to see a good Bard performance or any like highly intensive, mechanically proficient champions is still something that we don't see YellOwStaR pick up, but it's fine, you know, play around your weaknesses and show your strengths.
Yeah. Well, coming with those similarities, there are always going to be some differences in what the champion pools are for both these players. One thing that's definitely not too different between Trick and Spirit, though, is that Nidalee,
Yep, they're loving
very
Nidalee.
contested jungle.
It just suits their styles, you know, they want to outpace, outfarm, plant some vision, be at the right time on at the right part of the map too. Especially Trick is just so good at playing towards his strong side. It's just so fun to watch. If you need to learn how to identify a strong side on the map, you just honestly, you watch Trick and you watch where he goes, and then you try and figure out why. And very often he will lead you to the right answer.
Yeah. Fnatic hoping to make sure he doesn't get to do it very comfortably. They take away Elise as well. Another early game pressure jungle.
Yeah.
And the last ban, it's Azir. Febiven will not get his hands on the golden chicken this game.
Karma is up there, Shen is up there, and Rekkles is up there. That's picks that you could expect to come out here. Rekkles has gone up a lot in value when her direct competitors went down. Honestly, now Nidalee's banned out. At least some of these high-impact junglers are out. So we may see the Rekkles come out as just a tank presence. It allows more carries in the top lane. Honestly, both these teams would fare well with a Shen. He does well in all current matchups, negates a lot of these melee matchups, and still does decent to Gnar.
Yeah, it's very true. First pick of the Karma, not all that surprising considering how much both these teams have vied for it. And G2, for their side, they answer with an Olaf and a Jhin pickup for Zven.
Oh, Zven has been spamming Jhin on solo queue, on his stream, and he's honestly a very proficient Jhin player. And it's a beauty to watch both him and mithy go for it because they set up the Jhin W so well. And once that Deadly Flourish connects, then obviously there's so much room for plays.
Febiven giving a little nod to the assassin matchups that made both these mid laners oh so famous. As the timer keeps ticking away, with Azir not available to be played for him, with Vladimir off the table.
I mean, it could almost be just a blind Viktor at one point.
Yeah, why not, right? Well, the Shen might very well come in. We still got plenty of time on the clock here, but Fnatic, you know, it'll be curious to see what they decide to draft against G2, a team that will hit you and hit you hard in that early game.
I do hope that they keep drafting this amount of crowd control effects. I think Fnatic sometimes fall into the trap when they draft a little bit too little hard CC. But right now, they're going to wait on that mid lane pick, one more rotation, and they're going to preemptively pick a very passive AD carry here that can shift out of a lot of the danger coming at him.
Yeah,
As with the Jhin is rough, though. If you get hit once by the W because your arcane shift is rather slow, you can be in a world of trouble.
That's true, but Rekkles definitely knows his way around the champion. He keeps picking it constantly, time and time again. Might spell the lane swap, though, for Fnatic.
Yeah. Although Ezreal Karma can fend for itself very, very, very well. Karma is still a flex, could be mid lane too. Fnatic looking for more information from G2 on the next part of their draft.
All right. With Trick likely going to be on that Olaf. It obviously can always switch around, but guessing based on your summoner spells. Not to see what they decide to take up in the top lane matchup as well. And mid is always on the mind when we're talking about both Fnatic and G2 Esports. I want to be saving it for that last matchup, though. I feel like that one's going to be really where the fire is.
Yeah, definitely want to see how these mids square off. Interestingly enough, going for the Braum here, making it a lot more tricky of a lane, and now Fnatic have the edge in the 2v2. G2 have kill pressure if a lot of spells connect, but generally in normal standard lane patterns, Fnatic have the edge in 2v2, so that may swing some of the lane swap decisions to prompt G2 to actually go for one.
Oh, things just keep on trading back and forth. A lot of global pressure still for Fnatic already. But as you mentioned, they do have a very passive early game setup right now. What do they add to this comp? What seasoning do they add to make things a little bit more powerful right now? Would not expect the Zyra pickup, but it was a very oppressive lane when they paired it with the Ashe. Obviously not an option right around now, but
I mean, they can still go Zyra. Remember,
still.
Karma can be mid.
That's true.
So Karma mid wouldn't be the worst blind pick. It has no really super rough matchups, but it just falls off later on. Has a really good 2-item spike. But Viktor, honestly, is the third strong champion left in all these picks. You know, usually you talk about Vladimir, Azir, and Viktor. And maybe you mention a Rise there.
So Graves comes back up. We don't see the Rek'Sai this game out of Spirit. And it was like Vedius was saying, it's just been resurging more to a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, because they have Shen already as frontline. They maybe want a little bit more damage. If they run Rek'Sai Shen, then they only have Ezreal and Viktor as double damage comp, and it's honestly too little. I like introducing a third damage component there. And now this is where Perkz has gone. Rise in the past, but I wouldn't like it as much. I'd like to see something else. Honestly, I'm just a really big fan of Zilean. I love his kit. I think double wall mechanic is very unique. It's very game impacting, and the revive just throws you for a loop. It's almost as if you're playing against like an Evelyn. You need to have a bit of a shift in your approach to the game when you play against the revive, because certain just windows of opportunity are simply not enough. You find a strangler at the outskirts of a fight, you engage him, you kill him, suddenly you're playing 45. No longer, because of that revive from Zilean.
Yeah, you're not the only one who's a fan. Perkz has picked it up 3 times, won all 3 games with it as well. And it does always deserve special mention when talking about his champion pool, and that will be the lock in this game.
And it's also a fantastic enabler for the likes of Gnar and Olaf, who obviously are no primary engages, but they can rush in, wreak havoc. Mega Gnar usually has issues closing the gap if he's not flanking, but with the Zilean speed up, it's actually a very potent combo. Also, Olaf goes for Zilean speed up, creates enough space. Remember, Zven wants to be at the back of the fight, participating at the start, and then taking one step backwards and unleashing with the ultimate here. And if the front line can Zerg with the Zilean speed up and get revived too, you know, making maximum use of that effective health from the Zilean revive, then suddenly G2 can win these fights, and that's exactly what Fnatic then need to avoid.
Yeah, Fnatic know that they've got a dangerous adversary to go up against, but they definitely came into today with that mindset. Number 1, number 2 teams. 1 point separates them as Daylor and Young Buck shake hands to walk off stage. This one is going to be epically intense. Now, with the draft done, it's time to load up onto the Rift and see the fight for first continue in this match of the week. I cannot wait.
I don't think G2 is best team in the Europe right now.
I'm not sure if there's top teams right now, but I think Fnatic is strong. Hopefully it's going to be a close match.
Fnatic are playing this team fight perfectly. Great collapse from G2. Massive fight for Fnatic. G2, they're taking control. Rekkles going massive. Zven is unstoppable.
And here we are, onto the Rift. Europe's Titans. Trying to take each other down a peg. We're halfway into this split with this series.
And remember, this is the last match of the last day of the first half of the European Summer Split here. So after this match, we know exactly how all teams rank up against each other, and we actually have a clear understanding of who deserves to be in first place.
Both have got a lot to prove. G2 spent a lot of the split in that first position, but Fnatic have very quickly climbed back into it last week with a win and a draw versus G2's 2. Disappointing, really, for them. A top team considered here in Europe to have 2 draws against teams. And, you know, both teams actually did have some really, really crazy results. We had 80 minutes to dream on one hand, and then we had the really crazy Vitality hold. You got to think they'll be analyzing, scrutinizing all that game footage over the week, see what they could have done to finish it off.
Yeah, analyzing just like the matchups here. Look at how Zven and mithy are pathing to the top side. They just want to dodge that matchup for now, because double range into melee in almost every single matchup means you're at a disadvantage.
Oh yeah, take a look at our masteries on the board. Storm Raiders for Febiven. A lot of Deathfires too on the side of G2. I mean, there's just so much damage here. Talking about the compositions, like you said, when the fights come in, Zven right in the back line. If Perkz can get the speed boost onto Trick, you've got to be real careful dealing with an Olaf. We could see how powerful one can be when you throw down that CC, runs right on through it.
Yeah, always be wary of Olaf charging in and the Gnar bar. At the other side, if G2 mismanage their engage, there's so much damage here. Really good roam here from YellOwStaR. Very often do we see this work. Karma supports are one of the best supports to move into the lane level 1 because they go behind the wall and then surprise you and usually burn a flash. So it's really good that Perkz managed to avoid this.
Yeah, it doesn't really lose a whole lot for it. Just a little bit of time trying to take out some of the minions. We do find ourselves in the lane swap, expecting that fast push pretty quickly, but there'll definitely be some early fights on. Infernal Drake hits the Rift first.
Yeah, Infernal Drake usually ends up going to the team that starts the lane swap on the top side because they swap the bottom, take tower, go Infernal. Karma roam slowed down a little bit in terms of tempo here. Both teams seem very equal. Ezreal, fantastic champion in lane swap too. Rekkles correctly skilling Q and W. So we've seen Ezreal do Q and E. These are minor nitpicking points, but when wanting to accelerate the lane swap as quick as you can, as fast as you can, you need to maximize here. Ideally have Shen tank, and then avoid your minions taking any damage as you push into that tower. And look at it, Fnatic slightly better. Also, their champions are catered much better to a lane swap.
Yeah, gives them advantage in the early position indeed. See if they're going to be swapping back immediately after that and just trying for the trade again.
Important note here, do they share? YellOwStaR, ooh, YellOwStar's even taking gold here. This is what I don't like about Fnatic here. And he even cues the creeps there at the end. So Fnatic for a small adaptation, not the perfect bounce. And they triple share here. On the other side, G2 is also triple sharing. So usually, okay, no, they're moving away finally. They're giving expect, they're funneling gold. And this is something Fnatic and G2 both has sinned, in my opinion, because they put their top laners in the dumpsters by taking away gold in these lane swaps, and that adds up over time. And that's very often why we see Gamsu and Expect be behind. But right now, Expect got a little bit more gold, so he's already has a 200 gold advantage over Gamsu, despite never having met each other.
Gamsu, though, on the Shen pickup. Definitely be able to provide a little bit more early pressure if they do decide to get into these fights, if the teleports start to get blown, but both top laners are holding them for the time being. And actually, there's a double teleport advantage, you know, on the side of G2, but obviously not at the moment, with it having been burned by Perkz to get back into this lane.
Yeah, I really like the use of teleport too. He alluded to it in once we had mid lane week. Talked a bit about it in teleport matchups. You just take bad trades early on, you get the guy low on potions, and then you teleport back in full HP, and then you win the sustain war. We'll see, not too phased on the side of Febiven either, because he's stuck in the base too. But it does mean that whatever damage YellOwStaR did in the early game didn't really phase Perkz.
It certainly didn't, and he definitely knows his way around the Zilean. He's yet to lose on it here in the summer split, moving their way up to the top side to try and challenge YellOwStaR.
Oh, adaptation here.
And Zven starts clearing away with the flourish. They're going to back them off.
Oh, this was a cheeky run here. So they're matching, expecting the bottom lane because Gamsu was pushing. So because that wave was kind of mismanaged, look at this, all this farm that's heading towards expected. You can pick up at the tower now. G2 for the first time are actually playing around their top laner. Look how Trick is helping him here. And now Gamsu is stuck on a long lane as he is very often. And he has to teleport his way out, but he's going to drop.
Oh, just in time. He doesn't make it. First blood over to Trick.
And we can't understate how massive this is. Fnatic does this all the time. At 5 to 6 minutes in a lane swap, Gamsu is stuck on a long lane. And he gets away with it. Against Schalke, he could have died in the exact same spot. Talked a little bit to Gilius about it. He's like, yeah, you know what? I was honestly very bad not realizing that opportunity. And G2's bot lane, they take the hit. They have to cross the map. They have to put themselves in a push disadvantage here. But they're fine taking that. They also had the help from Perkz roaming up earlier. And now Trick's back here, shadowing his lane.
They're going to find Spirit, too. Mithy does nail him with the Winter's Bite, forcing the flash away.
He's definitely scared of getting 2 more autos on him, getting stunned, and then getting snared into the deadly flourish from Zven. But I adore this move from G2 Esports here. So well read. They noticed that Gamsu is getting greedy in the lane swap. Top laners should always freeze and push once they see the enemy bot lane. But because it happens so often that they're gonna show up anyways, Pyra.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take this cheeky little 2 or 3 extra CS, you know, put myself ahead. And you very rarely get punished for that in scrims. And now G2, they read that situation, and they get expect ahead.
Very smart move by this team. Sometimes we faulted in the past for making little mistakes here and there. A lot of it based on aggression, but, you know, coming to this week, my biggest question was always, are G2 maybe slipping, falling a little further behind? Well, moves like that kind of show that no. They're definitely still on top of their game. As long as they can play together as a team, which they've stated numerous times is #1 priority. Shore up those weaknesses. Don't get over aggressive. And now making sure that they can work with expect. It seems to be working out.
Yeah, and of all bot lanes to take the hitter, it's so surprising that Mithy and Zven do. Zven has the highest CS in the league for AD carries. He's towering above everybody else, especially in standard lanes. He usually goes up like 17 CS at 10 minutes even, or 20, but like he just has a massive lead above everybody else who is relatively equal. And to see that bot lane that is so good at, you know, getting themselves ahead and snowballing their advantage is taking the hit, it shows that G2 is playing as a team.
Now they found YellOwStaR too for the moment. Rekkles wasn't quite there. It's going to allow them to just start free farming on those minions, but everything does settle back into some relative normalcy after the first tower trades.
Yeah.
In this Shen versus Gnar matchup, this one's a little interesting, but obviously Expect has the level advantage because Gamsu spent a little more time dead.
Now Trick is just setting up a potential dive. And look at Perkz too. He's moving over, ready for a collapse here. G2 very proactive on the map. This is something they do a lot. And because Spirit right now is defending from a potential dive and roam, and he's hugging the tower, he leaves his red buff exposed. This is beautiful map play from G2 Esports. They translate advantages from one side into the other. Now slow into the double bomb combo here, forcing the ultimate. G2 one step ahead across the board.
Yeah.
Push in mid lane, move their mid laner into the enemy jungle. Have a big wave built up that Shen can't contest, so you force him on the tower. Guess what? Trick's there to dive. If Spirit matches, that's the point of the decision tree. Okay, then we don't dive, we just steal the red buff. They leave Fnatic with only bad options here, and a really high pressure early game.
So far, they played it out flawlessly as well, not giving Fnatic a single opening. It's not hugely different on the gold game, but they're forcing them to dance to their beat. And this G2 Esports team just seems to be working, clicking like we were hoping and expecting them to from the start of this split.
It does come at a slight cost here for G2. It's the fact that they play into Spirit's favor style, which is out-farm the enemy jungler here. And we need to see if he can translate that in duels later on. He has a significant camp advantage because Trick was obviously ganking and securing leads. The bot lane swapped around here, but G2, they're kind of playing the map game, and Spirit is just picking away in between these plays as much farm as he can to hopefully translate that into an advantage later on.
G2 are quicker on this faster swap too, since Expect was sticking around a little longer. He's actually going to find Spirit in his jungle, but trades are not going to go in his favor.
Now that's honestly a little overzealous. You should always respect the cross map, so it's very... He was likely to find Spirit there, almost so likely that he shouldn't even check. Now he gets chunked out, has to base, but looks like they're just gonna swap again, catch it the wave top maybe with some people. And again, they're just sending out Expect to catch it and seeing if he needs assistance. In so many scenarios in the past, they would have sent Zven and mithy there to catch that farm. So definitely cognizant of maybe over prioritization of their bot lane.
Yeah. Well, Expect's not having too much trouble with the farm game this time, and for a team that definitely leaves their top laner often out in the cold, he's not too worried about it as things begin.
They got him a jacket.
Yeah, they got him one. It's good. You always give your top laner a hoodie when it's cold outside.
Not one of those off-brand, jackets. They got him a nice leather one.
That's excellent. For Gamsu though, they've really only gotten him a pair of boots right now. He needs some more time before he can get up in items. Being held back is definitely not going to help Fnatic really contest anything here. Infernal Drake being started by Zven, Trick, mithy. There's really no contest available. They are collapsing on it. Maybe they can. In comes True Shot. It's not going to be enough. It's smited away, and Trick throws on the Ragnarok. In comes Fnatic, and Febiven will polish off mithy. They're looking for Trick. Gamsu cannot find the damage, wishing he had old Shen's Q.
This is a fine trade, unless Sven gets stuck here over the wall. He's looking to challenge the Grom. One more. No. He doesn't get the Grom. So one kill for Dragons, a final exchange if your top laner is still farming on the top lane. Obviously, you talked a little bit about the double TP advantage. If it goes in waves though, Fnatic have an equal amount of globals because they have TP and Shen LT. So they can match one TP for TP and then one Shen LT for TP.
Yeah, that's true. Although it's Gamsu pulling double time here as he's trying to catch up back in farm. It's really starting to grow this disparity in the CS between these two top laners.
I need to see what G2 do once Gamsu catches that wave, because that's what they did right now. They used the fact that they had mid lane and bot lane pushing, went in between, took the dragon. Right now they're pushing out top wave, which means Gamsu can technically move mid and then free up Perkz for a potential roam. And we also need to see how Fnatic keep reacting, because we keep praising G2 for some of these moves, but it is Fnatic with the gold lead here because they got a kill on the back of that play, and Spirit has vastly been out farming Trick.
And Infernal Drake, very useful, but not as much in the very early game, so G2 are banking that a little bit later. There will be another one coming up when it next rolls around.
The Infernal Drake pension fund.
Excellent. Yeah, you always want to save for a little bit later. G2, though, they're fairly happy at the moment with the small gold lead that they've managed to accrue, even if they're giving up a kill here and there.
Begs the question, is Infernal Drake tax deductible? Well, that's maybe a matter for a less serious game.
I'm not qualified to answer that question, Crepo.
Great. Yeah, let's not give tax advice here. Febiven sidestepping one bomb.
Oh, and Perkz has to burn himself a flash to get out. Fnatic very quick to try and collapse here on this mid. And item spikes are starting to come into play, but for Expect, he's the one who's got the big black cleaver first off.
Yeah, watching an open map between two good teams is very satisfying to watch, because there's a lot of moving parts. You know, push up one lane, get some vision, push up another, move somewhere, surprise each other. That's why Perkz always has to be on his heels in that mid lane. His flash got burned. If Fnatic can catch him in the same position again, he may drop. Obviously, he still has access to that ultimate.
And just trying to keep him on the side and give himself a whole lot of gold to start catching back up into this. But Fnatic, they're out farming in all the other ways.
Yeah.
About even in mid, though.
Fnatic's mid game is slightly different because they're playing a 4-1 comp with Shen as a single side lane split pusher. Ezreal can clear sideways decently, but he obviously, any AD carry in the mid game these days wants to be in the mid lane. And that's what G2 has switched to right now. They're playing a pure 1-3-1 with double TP on the flanks. And it's actually a really nice combo to have in mid lane because any combination with Jhin, while it lacks wave clear under distress, if there's a lot of members from Fnatic sieging onto the Jhin, he's a little slow. But Jhin is fantastic for making picks. He can turn left or right with his ultimate and catch any like lonesome player there out in the jungle. If he gets tagged on by any ability, follow up with Deadly Flourish too. So G2 will definitely need to make use of this ability to make Fnatic scared and maybe get a pick off.
Yeah, they've definitely got the tools. And for those of you just joining us from LCS 2, welcome to the match of the week. Fnatic G2, it started a little bit quietly, but we've already had some Cloud Drake shenanigans swapping back and forth, top and bottom sides. And now you see mithy trying to get some deep vision here inside the Fnatic jungle. They've been trying that trick in the top, but it's definitely not working as well.
Yeah, and interesting adaptation as well. Look at Olaf here, G2 trick on a champion that wants to dive the backline, that generally wants to itemize purely for himself. Also went for the vision because 1-3-1 is very hard to play with only one side stone. So that's what they're doing right now. Trick on one side, mithy on the other. Just weaving wards in between, trying to see what Fnatic's doing, reading their move before they can execute on it, and then being swifter on the map with the 1-3-1. Yep. I really like the resurgence of double side stone in 1-3-1 comps.
And they managed to utilize that vision they've got to just keep things warded up, and Fnatic not really having an angle to get in and involved in just pushing the waves back. It's very even on this gold game, but you can see G2 are the ones making the more proactive moves.
Yeah, they have river control right now. They poke out Spirit here. Good from Fnatic. YellOwStaR and Spirit are moving as a duo for vision. Any lonesome player can get picked off by Zven. We talked about it almost at length and too much at this point, but if that's just Spirit right there, Zven just presses R and gets 2 bullets connected and he's dead. So they definitely want to move as duos to contest the vision. Right now, G2's main objective is to keep this river control here.
Yeah, definitely makes sense why Fnatic playing so passively, not giving ground, but not really making the moves themselves because they just can't afford to face check any of that damage.
I don't like ward cheering, I'll be honest with you guys, but that was a ward worth cheering for because that's actually really important clear because that means the first pink ward or the first sweep goes onto that brush right now, which means you don't have it for river anymore. Again, the deeper your wards are, the more time it takes for Fnatic to clear them out, and we only have 50 seconds remaining for this next Inferno. And we may actually see an explosive fight here because Fnatic aggressively defended the last one, and they may do the same thing with Shen ultimate.
Yeah, Rekkles was a hair's breadth away from snatching it away as well, so all eyes trained on this. You can see teleports all lined up. There's that Black Cleaver on expect.
Yeah, that's a really good split push item, but it hasn't got the best utility in a team fight, you know? Black Cleaver Gnar dies immediately once he dives backline, so he needs to really hit his timing window on point. Now Fnatic is aggressively moving in.
You see Perkz isn't giving the grab, but mithy, he takes a lot of damage here in Spirit. He's going to quick draw, but Trick is on top of him. Quick teleport, Exhaust is down, and Trick, he's running straight through the backline, looking for Spirit. Can he find him? Yes, he can, and he manages to get the Zilean ult on. Zven doing what he wants, right in the backline, lines up the curtain call. He's got a shot left in the tank, and he does poke out Fnatic. YellOwStar spot, the bomb's on. Will it be enough to take him out?
It will.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's again. Fnatic do the right thing. They aggressively move in while expected is not in position yet. Gamsu teleports in, but it's not enough. They don't have the cleanest execution on the play. And then we see kind of the chase potential from G2. If Fnatic make the first move and fail, G2 can punish them so hard. They send in the Olaf who dives the backline. Trick almost got afraid, and then he remembered he had a Zilean on his team. Perkz got the ulti on, and Trick went like a madman. Took them down, and Zven completely untouched. This is what we were talking about in Champs League. If there's too much forward aggression, Zven gets unleashed. He can play his own game, patiently waiting, you know, for those bullets to hit, for those bombs to explode, and then he can wreak havoc in team fights.
And to the victors go the spoils. Not this time for that Viktor in the mid lane. He's got himself a couple of kills, so Febiven can be happy in that. But, you know, despite this massive fan vote right now, G2 are showing that they showed up to play. 2 Infernal Drakes in their pockets to start this off, and it'll definitely help them out the longer the game goes on. But we're only 17.5 minutes into this one, and it has been every inch fought over.
It's been a good game so far. Spirit here aggressively going on mithy, which is good. Dodges the W, great. Gets one bomb, but then gets stunned here on the back end of that play. And see, Trick, notice how he hesitates just a tiny bit, and then he goes in again. Maybe he was just picking up an axe. But Zven is being untouched in this fight. Mithy kind of sacrificed his life, peeling, so it was going to be just a 1-for-2. But they pick up the dragons too, and even though the gold is even right now, 2 Infernals give you so much efficient gold later on.
Oh yeah. That's going to be something that Fnatic are going to have to worry about for quite some time right now. Or in a little bit of time, we should rather say.
And especially since Expect is itemizing for the split push too, he rushed back Cleaver, so which means he can always bullet his Shen, especially if he stays ahead. 30 creeps ahead right now. Full level ahead too. And then he's just getting some magic resistance for when he joins the fight. And some of the harass from the Shen. So I think Vorpal should still be magic damage, unless that got changed.
Yeah. Spirits managed to play his game doing the out farm, but to be honest, Trick has had much bigger impact in these fights. And you know, it's no wonder that G2 invested so much into making sure he didn't get on a comfortable champion.
I say Vorpal, it's called Twilight Assault right now.
Yeah, well, that is the old one.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he didn't have that to get a kill earlier on when he was chasing down a very, very low health Expect, I believe. So, unlucky, but that's the way the reworks roll. So, 19 minutes now, Febiven picking up the blue buff, going right on back to the mid, and Rekkles and YellOwStaR moving up towards this top side. But Perkz is there to really stop things, and you know, Trick can't really stop the war game from coming out, and he finds Spirit, but he smites him back.
Yeah, Fnatic making waves here in the enemy red jungle. Again, YellOwStaR and Spirit moving as a great duo here, going for the wards. Obviously, they only have one side stone between the two of them, so they need to make it count. Rekkles went for the Iceborne. Last week, he played with a Triforce spike, eventually went Iceborne later on and admitted it was a mistake. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the Iceborne over Triforce. I want to see more Ezreal players do it because it just gives you more late game assurance. And here the 4-1 coming to fruition here. And Zven using his ulti for partial poke / wave clear.
Yeah,
really good use of that.
So he does manage to get them off of that. They can't really push in anymore on that tower. You can see Expect, he shoves the wave, he backs away. Wash, rinse, and repeat. G2 Esports fairly happy where they're at this point in time.
Yeah, it's really good to see the 1-3-1 clash with the 4-1. Fnatic do an aggressive group here, and G2 kind of have to scramble to make due. But then Perkz now has priority on top lane. But it's not going to do much because Expect's not there.
G2 though. Oh, hello, Zven. Chaos Storm found him, but they couldn't find him with the true shot. Still, no mini wave. They're going to have to back away.
Yeah, I really like these moves from Fnatic. If that's a realized Crystal Scepter Storm, then Zven may actually have to flash out.
Yeah. All that, all the slowing, all the CC there on the side of Fnatic, soft CC even. I mean, it can stop 4 to 5 members, but what are you going to do when Trick starts running down you?
Run. That'll be your best bet. Or try and kill him. It's still a Sightstone Olaf. So that is the advantage. Cinderhulk Sightstone, he is somewhat tanky, but you can blow through him. Like Viktor can just blow him up immediately.
Yeah, definitely itemizing much more tanky routes, so maybe not as much of a damaging threat. And there's the ward clear. Mithy's making sure all those brushes are clear of it all. But Fnatic, they've invested a lot more in this top side here. They've got, you know, pretty much the area around the back of the Baron pit kind of lit up. Not that G2 would try for a real rush Baron, barring any big fights at the moment, but it never hurts to have it.
It's split push vision. It's just to put vision in between the lanes to see what's going on. Nobody's gonna go for a Baron rush too soon, although never say never in a Fnatic game.
That's true. We've seen our fair share of them. But Fnatic not in a position right now to try and do anything there. Just keeping on farming up and moving their way forward, trying to outlast and outlive.
Both teams definitely have their eyes on next Dragon. G2 can actually prioritize this Cloud Dragon, despite it not really being that useful for them. It just gives them a third one in case they get Elder here. You have Rekkles sneaking up onto Perkz.
Oh, and the speed boost, he jumps right on in.
But
Mystic
it's
shot
still
flying.
Zilean.
And you can't catch him. Nor can you Killian him.
Found Killian the Zilean.
But Rekkles gets a lot worse than he's able to give in here, and it's actually bought time for Trick to start coming down towards this bottom side. So unfortunately, all that pans out for nothing. Just a few bombs for the trouble. Perkz, watching him on this champion is honestly a treat.
He needs to be careful that he doesn't overextend, because he went a little bit over eager. There was no reason for him to turn around and make that move. It was a great move, but let's wait on that. If Febiven connects one, Spirit tanks a second.
And the third.
And fourth.
Oh, that was a close one. Yeah, back to Perkz. You know, he's admitted that he has this problem, that he still likes to play the same way despite how the meta's shifted a little bit, and he can't afford to do that. I mean, but I guess awareness is the first step to solving the problem, but we haven't seen it that much.
I mean, for me, champion selection is the way to solve the problem for Perkz. He needs more forgiving champions right now. Champions that either have gap closers or have like an insurance. That's why I like Zilean on him, because even if he makes a minor mistake, he can speed himself out of there. I'm not the biggest fan of Rhizome Perkz currently because he's just not well versed enough, it seems, in efficiently 1v1. He gets caught a lot in the side lanes, too much for honestly a top tier mid laner.
Yeah.
And even if you watch some of his, yes, it's solo queue, but some of the trades he's going for on stream is just honestly suicide sometimes. Yes, maybe he's learning his limits. He does seem to be performing cautiously on the Zilean pick, just putting pressure and then moving around on the map, playing it to its potential. So I like seeing that.
We just needed to give him some time, that's for sure. So Cloud Drake picked up by G2, easy peasy. They keep banking them away right now, and they keep on trying to get that vision deep in the bottom side, but Fnatic, they're doubling down on the vision around the Baron pit.
Yeah, definitely, and nobody's kind of breaching bottom lane split push, so there's not enough pressure to really draw Fnatic away. Fnatic have taken a monopoly on the vision here on the top side of the map, so soon G2 will actually have to be careful for this Baron.
Sooner or later, you definitely got to start checking into it. One teleport down still for Perkz, but expects to still up at the time being. Febiven forcing Mithy and Zven away.
Need to see how smart, honestly, G2 is in reading enemy composition, because without a tank, it's incredibly hard to do this Baron, and G2 can wait for a long time until this Baron threat becomes real, because they need Shen there. Fnatic need Gamsu in the pit to tank it, because otherwise, I think they'll simply just die to the Baron.
Yeah, they definitely have to get it all together. It's very early to try and start, but right now we've got a jungle fight, and Shen is coming to the party. Trick is going to ghost away as Spirit gets the ult on, stand united to him, but Rekkles is isolated. Expect and Perkz looking to chase him down. Bombs are flying. He shifts away, but in comes Trick again. Gnar's out, right onto Gamsu, and we've got ourselves a hectic skirmish here. YellOwStaR exhausted. Curtain call comes in. Last shot. That is a massive amount of damage, and G2 have taken it to start winning this fight. Zven picks up one kill onto Gamsu. YellOwStaR already down. Spirit's got nowhere to go, and that's a double kill over to the Jhin, and Baron started for G2 Esports.
An absolute bonkers team fight from G2. So many right decisions in the clutch, in the heat of the moment were made. We have to watch that replay afterwards to really analyze what kind of went wrong there for Fnatic and what G2 did so masterfully right. They started all of this, they preemptively teleported and expect.
Oh!
That's fine, you don't need a jungle anyways.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Is enough.
I thought he was tanky.
To go back, because this replay is going to roll soon and there's almost too much to talk about. G2 started this play, and they had expected to teleport in first. They were going for a collapse on Spirit, and then they turned around, they realized Rekkles was split on the side, and from that point on, they made such great decisions in this team fight. I'll wait until the replay actually rolls, Fnatic taking down a turret.
Yeah, all that vision for Fnatic, it all comes to naught when you can't execute the team fight. G2 taking a big lead in this game.
Yeah, and this is such a pivotal moment here. Fnatic had the monopoly on the vision, and suddenly G2 can just... Okay, look. So this teleport comes in. Expect first wants to go into Spirit. Once the Shen ulti is out, they switch to Rekkles. He's now out of the fight. This bomb right here almost hits him. That would have been a clean kill there. Then look at mithy. Beautiful shield here, peeling for Trick. So Trick can't get the revive this time. mithy soaks so much damage. Zven is untouched with the perfect ultimate. Expect doesn't get revived. And then here the perfect cleanup. Flashes over the wall. The dot from... Zven's keystone kills one guy. Spirit is now stuck behind the bomb. Second guy drops and they go to Baron. So the awareness in this team fight, it looks like G2 solved all their issues. They left expected dry. Nope, they helped him in the early game. He was teleporting in too late. Nope, teleported preemptively in front of the fight. G2 were over chasing fights in one direction. Nope, they turned around and they found Rekkles.
And this is exactly what they've been saying. Give us some time and we can conquer. We can play as a team. And Perkz will knock down Febiven. They'll knock down some towers. And this is the G2 everyone expected coming into Summer Split.
Yeah, it's another pick off here. I love this Jhin follow-up and a lot of these hard engages or any of these CCs connecting here. And it's honestly going to be a ban because Fnatic is having a hard time dealing with the Jhin pick.
Yeah, once G2 grab this lead, they are not letting go anytime soon. That will be your 27-minute inhibitor. It may have been a low kill early game, but they have taken it all the way into the base. Gamsu is trying to answer desperately up in the top side, but no matter how you slice it, that will not be a worth trade.
Yeah, tower for him, fire out, definitely not worth the trade, especially if you don't even take the tower down. Perkz turbos his way up to top lane. He's going to soak up that lone farm. And right now, G2 just need to set up and see how clean they can almost execute this the later parts of this game, because they have all the tools to make it a swift finish.
G2 find themselves with a 5,000 gold advantage. The Baron power play coming in massive for them, but it's not like they didn't earn it.
I almost forget that exists. Whenever I look to the right of the screen, I always look to the bottom of the minimap. That's like an area of the screen I never watch. Okay, still there.
And the more you learn. 4,000, they've got themselves a lead off the back of it. Another Dragon's coming up. Unfortunately, it's a Cloud, but G2, they can use a little extra speed, even though they just want to knock it down, grab themselves maybe one more before the Elder spawns, if it even goes that long.
Gives them just more burn for the Elder. That's about it. Honestly, G2 should not. Yeah, they should take it on curve here. Immediately take it down at 29. That means their Elder spawns at like 35-15, 35-30, which is the perfect spawn if they maintain the lead but have some issues closing. Because Fnatic's not going to do anything with Elder. You can accelerate the Elder spawn if the enemy team has 0 Dragon buffs. Because you don't care at that point. But what if they take it? 45 true damage.
Yeah. Well, they may not even need it. You teleport in on the top side now. Perkz is there. The rest of the G2 are just forcing their way onto these towers. And look at the damage they're able to siege it on. The bombs just keep zoning. And there's nowhere to go. There's a curtain call out now. One nails Rekkles, another hits Febiven, and they just keep on poking them away. Another tower will fall.
Yeah, any Braum Q bomb or Axe connects, and suddenly Zven can use Deadly Flourish into Curtain Call, or you have the zone from the bombs that makes it much easier for the Axes and the Braum Qs to connect, and then Zven can unleash. So much siege potential here if G2 have a lead.
Fnatic, they're just bleeding out at the moment, trying to save themselves in the mid lane, trying to keep the push from happening in the top side, but G2 own this map right now, and there's no way they're going to let control of it go out, barring a massive team fight out of the blue team side.
Yup, they take down tier 1 tower top, rotate for the Dragon here. They ping the wave in the bottom. They're just taking away the exterior objectives here with this Baron, amassing their gold lead even farther. Maybe getting another tier 2 tower in the bottom lane, and then they'll look for next Baron play, use the bait, and honestly go for a swift execution. Really good play here from G2.
And that's tightening for Fnatic's chances in this first game. They came in today 1 point ahead of G2. They had climbed right back on in it, but was G2 slipping, or was it merely a couple of flukes? Right now, it's definitely looking like the latter.
I mean, they were slipping, but I don't think we should call them flukes. They were just major mistakes, but a team of the caliber of G2 Esports and some of their players, they can turn around those mistakes in less time than other teams. If you looked at the feedback comment from Mithy and Zven, and it's 100% true, like, they're incredibly blunt in their communication. Almost too blunt. If you're not used to being around some of the G2 members and you talk to them about the game, they are incredibly forward. I love it. Some people can't deal with it that well, but if it works in a team, and that's also something, whenever you slot in a new member, you need to think about that too. Some people deal differently with criticism.
But a team like G2 definitely having the backbone to kind of come up and conquer, and a lot of it does come from that team within a team mentality. Rekkles and YellOwStaR have talked about it, but also Zven and mithy. I mean, they migrated together from Origin at the start of the split. They wanted to stick together, and this is a bot lane, and for very good reason when you see their performance.
I mean, communication between Zven and mithy must go so much different than between Rekkles and YellOwStaR. I imagine how it's like Rekkles and YellOwStaR, something goes wrong, and they go like, no. It was my mistake. No. I failed this too. I know we both can improve. Something goes wrong between mithy and Zven, it goes more like, you're actually boosted, by the way. And then the other way around. If you watch them on the stream too, it's very entertaining. But they don't care, Like 30 minutes later, it's all forgotten.
Different bot lanes, different communications, that's for sure. For all the similarities between these two teams, that's something that can definitely see going the other way around. So the next Baron's going to be up in a little under a minute right now. G2, they can leisurely stroll up and start taking it, forcing a fight out of Fnatic. Yeah, there's the Shen, but he's only one guy that can get into the fight, right? We talked about double TPs, we talked about the Stand United, but that really hasn't proven itself that useful this game. Gamsu's really been hampered.
Yeah, they tried to solve some of these pickoffs that G2 attempted with a teleport, but then G2 just switched to a different member. Rekkles on the backside. Right now, G2 don't need to go for full on 1-3-1. They can just do what they're doing right here. Group, poke, into Zven ultimate for more poke. And if they're low enough, they can just start the Baron here. Look at it, like all the zoning coming out. There's no counterplay for Fnatic other than dodging skill shots. Now, Baron has no wards in it. It's also not there yet. There it is. And now G2 immediately started hitting here.
Yeah, really short uptime on just about everything.
Gnar bar 95% waiting in the brush, ready for the teleport here. So the second expect joins, which is TPing now bottom left. He's going to go instantly Mega Gnar if he connects any damage.
Fnatic, they're sniffing their noses. It's way too late though. It's going to get smited away by Trick and easily, safely taken. Now G2 look to try and chase them out. It is in fact a 4v5, but they're going with the Shen possibility. They don't need to take the kills.
Yeah, they're forcing Fnatic to take the scenic route back to their base, explore their own jungle before pressing that B button. But they're zoned out. This inhibitor is definitely going down. And then G2 can just back off and set up another push here. Another Baron secured. G2 in complete domination and control of this game.
Gold lead just keeps on growing and growing. G2, they're going to try to get out. Fnatic won't let him go scot-free, but it just tickles mithy. Gamsu's on the bottom side really trying to make something happen. You just can't match this push.
They're like, okay, we talked a lot about G2. Let's look for a positive on Fnatic.
Ah, don't reveal my thought process, Crepo.
Gamsu, he's like Gendry, still rowing. Still pushing.
Seasons later.
Still pushing.
Ah, God.
Fnatic, 3 seasons later. Gamsu is still in the side lane. Pushing minions.
Well, he's had some pretty masterful performances, but those come off the back of a lot weaker teams and weaker opponents.
I mean, there's not much more Shen can do. His utility, he got put
what they
behind
put him
in the early game. Fnatic assigned him to the long lane, and he got ganked. Maybe he can dodge the gank. Maybe the only mistake I can really fault Gamsu for is pushing in his phase 2 of the lane swap. Always freeze as a top laner, because that's what got him caught in an almost impossible position. And at that point, yeah, it was done for.
Yeah. G2's decision-making is really what have put them so far ahead this game. The quick reactions, especially when Gamsu does stand united on someone, instantly switching targets, making sure they can keep the zone going. And you said this comp had one thing in mind, keep Zven in the back, keep Trick in the front, and just keep pushing forward. And they've been able to execute it constantly. Now they're on to the inhibitor towers.
Double bomb zone and Jhin ulti zone is just so big if a wave walks up. Sadly for G2, the wave's already gone, so bit of a wasted ultimate. But they need to wait for bot lane pressure. Here, look, the 1-3-1 actually turned into a 3-0-2 split push because mid lane's pushing on its own.
Does that count as a tower dive?
I mean, it's a proxy. It's actually the longest time we haven't seen a proxy in ages.
Well, maybe you haven't. I play Singed all the time.
Dirty Singe picker.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Why does that not surprise me, Ara?
Yeah. I'm exactly as I appear in some cases. Anyways, this is exactly as it appears for G2 as well. They just keep on getting the slow push in and a lot of damage.
The tower's going down.
Yeah, soon TM, that's for sure. Teleport coming in for Perkz now as he's back to base. That tower will fall. Just a couple more auto attacks was all it took. Gamsu back on the bottom lane to try and keep pushing things around, but this base is melting right now, and Fnatic are just letting it happen. There's not much more they can do.
Yeah, just crawling back into their shell, turtling the best they can. 2 inhibs down. I don't think it's going to go above 10 this game, though. G2 will probably close a little bit better than Origin did last week.
Yeah, Fnatic have definitely shown that they've been able to hold in impossible situations, but this just starts to feel like they're being strangled faster and faster. 8 seconds until the Elder Drake starts, and G2 are already making a beeline for it.
Just the chaining of objectives too, the timing, how it all syncs up here. Baron, out the turret, swing to Dragon, push for vision control, keep the gold lead, go for the next Baron. Suddenly, after your siege, Elder comes on the map here when you have 4 buffs available. Fnatic, they can choose to try and defend it and lose the fight, or they can let G2 take it and likely lose a fight. They're almost in an impossible situation here. 10,000 gold down against the zoning comp. Incredibly hard unless Gamsu can find a flank, but he can't keep people alive. And G2, they have the perfect defense against a pick-off, which is the Zilean ultimate, to buy more time.
And Fnatic, they just can't push fast enough to respond to what G2 is throwing out here. 3 members on this bottom side, 2 I should say. They're bringing the rest of the party. It forces Fnatic's hand.
Yeah, Dragon is only a tool to help you close out the game. If you don't need to take it and you actually get quicker access to the bot lane inhib, which is your next objective, then take it. This is what G2 is doing exactly here. They're kind of making Fnatic run a ring around the Rosie here, and that tower suddenly drops because Fnatic was setting up for a potential defense on the Elder.
And they can't even defend it. Another tower gets broken open. The base is in shambles right now. 10,000 plus gold in the lead. And G2 right back to the objective game. Keep on shifting the focus and keep Fnatic off their strong foot.
As long as you keep Fnatic in front of you, G2, the world is your oyster, and they do that perfectly with the vision into the enemy jungle here. Double sidestone too, you know, making sure they're never picked off. Support doesn't have to base as often too. The uptime of mithy is doubled here because he has to base far less often for wards, because Strick is also carrying them. It comes at the cost for teamfight, you know, presence, but it gives you more vision to work with, which means if you predict where Fnatic is, you don't need more items to beat them because you're just beating them in map moves.
Yeah, he's talked about no good choices. Fnatic are definitely left with none now. Expect was hurting the minions into the base. Meanwhile, the rest of G2 now, they decide to take this Dragon once and for all. Expect might give his life for the effort here, but you got to consider that worth with the way they're playing this.
And that's the perfect move from Fnatic. They stall Expect for 1 minute. That's honestly half of the Elder Dragon here. I think G2 can honestly wait very long until he spawns. I think that's what they're doing here. Look at him. They're keeping the Dragon in combat for a while, keeping it in smite range if anything comes close. This is a smart adaptation. Because look at G2. What's next in the 3 minutes? No Baron will spawn. So they just wait for a little bit. Eventually, they get scared of look, if the Graves approaches and randomly ults, if he had ulti available, then the dragon is gone. So they put it on smite range, then take it down at the end. And right now, they bought themselves 30 seconds extra dragon time, as opposed to only having 1 minute. They now have 1 minute and a half, give or take, on Elder Dragon because they waited for Expect to spawn. It was still a mistake for Expect to die there. But it's a minor one, very, very minor one. Correct move for Fnatic.
Well, and Fnatic spent a lot of time, a lot of effort to really try and get that down. The stand united just to double up things and collapse on him. It does give them a little bit of breathing room right now because G2 backed off this onslaught on the towers. They got one inhibitor back up, but this may not last very long. Teleport comes in here and Expect is already back in lane. The rest of G2 marching down mid.
Yep, and this just ranged poke zone control comp with Elder Dragon, so strong. But they're just going to use it as an additional zone to secure the Baron, I feel, for G2.
You can definitely tell which way the crowd's going. They've been stunned silent.
Yeah, no wards to kill, no Fnatic to win, and suddenly these guys are utterly quiet. Shame.
Well, Fnatic, they may have one last blast before the end, but we'll have to see. Expect he does get a big Gnar on, but he's drawing a lot of pressure away, and instantly, Perkz is there to give him the res. An inhibitor, or rather, yeah, an inhibitor falls down, and now the trap's starting to snap shut here. In comes a Glacial Fissure. Can they outfight this Rekkles? He's caught behind Trick. That's a lot of damage, and this might be curtains for Fnatic. Spirit shunt away, Jhin trap blowing, and it's not even 40 minutes in. G2, they're rolling this all the way to the end. A triple kill for Zven. It's huge.
Yeah, the true damage here and the damage over time from that keystone here for Zven, taking down Rekkles. It was the right move from Fnatic again, isolating the split push. They did it once and expected it worked. They tried it twice, but it did not work, Pyra.
Brutal dominance in game number one. G2 in just under 40 demonstrated and take down Fnatic.
And it's definitely an early game worth rewatching. This pivotal moment again, that push from Gamsu after the lane swap, and G2 opting to match him with Expect and putting their bot lane at a CS deficit and sending them top. That goes against the normal grain of gameplay. It goes completely against normal lane swap patterns. They surprised and they punished Gamsu in a window where honestly Fnatic have left him very often throughout the season.